Evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting Libre and supporting Carol and Kushtrim. So we there's a lot of story to unfold tonight, but we're gonna start with the novel, A Murder of Crows, Fly with a Red Ribbon. Some stories are not just imagination; they are born from pain carried across generations and from the memories that are too heavy to be forgotten.
Mm.
And this story takes us in Kosovo, in the shadows of Balkan mountains, and one of its darkest history moments in the 1999 war against Serbia. And it follows the lives of two families, one Catholic and one Muslim. And it shows us that war does not choose religion. When it destroys homes, separates families, and causes all that pain. But what makes this story even more extraordinary is the life behind Carol, the author itself. With the help of Carol and her husband Rick, 50 students from Kosovo were able to get full scholarship to study in United States.
Mm.
And this was one act of kindness that did not just change individual lives, but changed the whole generations.
Mm.
And one of the students was also actor Kushtrim Hoxha.
Yep.
Thank you for being with us here tonight.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Anita, she's emotional, and I got it. There's,
Yeah, too.
Carol, thank you for being here.
Mhm.
It's a long way to come here, but thank you. Kustum, thank you too.
You're
I
welcome.
really appreciate it
Thank
for
you.
being here. And all of we have students here too. We're gonna thank you for being here. And I to supporting us, support Carol Kustum. So thank you. We're gonna start with the questions right now. Carol, before we gonna get a little bit deeper on the book. Do you remember the moment you realized this work would become much bigger and than simple helping the student at the school?
Yes. If you remember, if you've ever had a student go off to college, it's a little bit chaotic on that first day, moving to the dorms. Everybody has their suitcases and boxes, and sometimes a television or a little refrigerator, and it's very chaotic, and lots of people and families are around. But here, when I had these refugee students, they had a few changes of clothes in one bag, and that was it. Most of them didn't have family with them when they checked in. Did you?
Oh, just my mom. Yeah.
Your mom.
Mhm.
And that struck me that the difference of coming from war to coming to a college environment. And of course, I knew through the application process that I put together for students to receive a scholarship that many of them had very limited English ability. I mean, they came from the part of the world that English wasn't a common language. They probably spoke more than one language, several languages, but English wasn't uh, a prime language to learn. And also, at least at our college, where I had two students, giving a computer to every freshman was what the college did. And these students had never used computers. That was something completely foreign to them, too. So their learning curve was going to be great. But beyond that, they carried another kind of baggage, which was the emotional baggage of being from a war-torn country, having many people have lost family and homeland. I haven't done that, but I was just talking with a young lady who was telling me that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk for back then.
Well, I'm
So-
sorry, but
No, we're
it's
totally fine.
it was all of this. They had to face all this emotion. In addition to what I did was, as I have said, I just unlocked a door, but it was a very big, heavy iron door that they all had to push to go through and achieve what they wanted in life. And so many of them did.
All right, Arta, can you bring us some
Sorry.
napkins? It's okay. You're good. You're totally fine. Yeah.
Okay. That was, it's not an easy story to tell, we all know, but let's get to the lighter side a little bit.
Sure.
What was like watching young students build their lives,
Anita,
their
grab some.
careers, their identities, and their families?
Well, that has been a pleasure for me, certainly, because so many of them have been successful in their lives, and I've been invited to weddings, and they have families and children at this point in time, all these years later. But it was their determination that made that possible, and their spirit. And I remember initially, I only knew the students because of their name on pieces of paper, because the whole process of the scholarship was a time when I couldn't really meet them in person. It was all done remotely by fax and telephone calls to the various social service agencies. So at the time, 4 years later, when I knew they were graduating, 3 and 4 years old later, I made an effort to go to graduations. And that's hard because, of course, most graduations are on the first, a certain weekend in May or June. But I managed to go to 12 different graduations. And that was what was so pleasurable to have met in person. And that's where I met Kush at his graduation from Greensboro College and others. And it was almost as if I had gained a family from meeting them and some of their family members at that time. So, and I was invited to Kosovo and had such a wonderful experience learning about the culture and the country. And that was what was so important to me and gratifying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me. I'm gonna involve Kushtrim too. Before we start with the questions, I'm gonna share the story how we get it here, how we get here. So I called Kushtrim just to invite for the podcast. We are just brand new channel. We have we're thinking like Kushtrim is really big actor, and especially for us Albanians. And we thought I'm gonna call him and he gonna help us to grow up. And I tell him the story and everything. And he was, hold on a second, I have a better story. I have a friend, her name is Carol, and he told me the story. I was, wow, this is beyond everything. And I want to thank him, like, just he bring us like here. So Kushtrim,
Yes.
thank you
You're
again.
welcome.
You were one of those students who life was directly impacted by the Carol's work.
Mhm.
Can you share how this thing all began?
Yes. I'll be brief. But so imagine I was in a refugee camp in 1999 with my mother, and we passed. So we were in Kosovo. We went to a refugee camp. A few days later, I found myself being a refugee in some unknown country that I'd never lived before in Macedonia. And then I became a refugee in the United States. So everything had changed. With me, I had just a bag with
Wow.
one shirt, and my mother was with me. So we ended up in California, me and my mom. We had some nice family from there that sponsored us to go to California and stay there. For the first month, I was just, we were in shock at the time because we had lost a lot of family members, and we had lost a lot of friends from back in my hometown. So it was a little shock when we arrived in California. And it was like we're trying to process the whole thing. Uh, and then all of a sudden, I got a call from one of the agencies that was working with refugees. Said that we have an opportunity for a scholarship for they're doing someone's putting together a group of students that were already students in Pristina. But because remember, I was studying already in
Already.
Pristina. I was in my third year in college when the war broke out.
You started
I was studying acting at the
Acting?
Academy of Arts. Yeah. So and then this organization said that we have someone putting together a fund for some students to continue their education in U.S. And I was very happy about that. I put my application down, my name, and I put there that I want to study acting. And I remember the lady from the organization said, "No, no, don't put acting. Put something more meaningful like doctor or something." I said, "But I said, I was an actor back home. I was studying theater. I want to continue the same thing, I want to do the same thing." So I just put that, and then Carol was putting together all the applications and helping us with going to different colleges in U.S. She saw our names and she placed us where they were trying to study
where did you study? Like which
in North Carolina,
North
Greensboro, North Carolina. Yes.
You traveled back from California to the
Yes, so I went then after a month of being a refugee, I went in a college campus. Like
Wow.
another culture shock for me.
Did you
So
move with your mother?
no, my mom, yes, she came to North Carolina with me as
Wow.
well, but she moved back to Kosovo after. But
Wow.
And that was interesting for me in that, as I said, these were just applications I received with names on paper. And I knew initially I wanted to connect with the students at Fort Dix, where they were supposed to come in if they weren't hosted by somebody, if they didn't have sponsorship. And instead, Fort Dix, there was too much red tape. They wouldn't allow me in to interview them. So suddenly I had all these scholarships available and no students. And it was the social service agencies like Catholic Charities and Jewish Family Services and Lutheran refugee replacement organizations. I had to connect with them nationwide by phone and fax at that time. Email wasn't as prevalent. So it was all phone and fax. And I knew students were placed across the United States, but the schools were all around the United States. So I was taking students from like California to North Carolina. And it was sort of traumatic because they were just spent a month or two in one place and then they were going to another place if they really wanted to go to college. So I thought it was not as smooth as I would have liked it, but and there were some students who I thought I had the great placement. They were in Florida. Two sisters could go to the same school, not too far away from where they were living, but their parents were living there, and they had just gotten jobs at a chicken factory. So they turned down the college education. I was heartbroken, you know, but that was the importance of family.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, Kushtrim,
Yeah.
you have mentioned a little bit that when you first arrived, you were in shock.
Mm-hmm.
But can you elaborate more what kind of emotions you were carrying when you first entered US?
Usually, I can't explain because the shock. I mean, the how do they call it now? PTSD of war comes later in life, I believe. But at the time, I was so young and I didn't think about a lot of things. I was processing. I had a new girlfriend at the time, my wife now. I left her there. I had left my I lost like three good friends. Two of my roommates died in the war, and my one of my our best friends from university, she was killed the first day of the war, the day before. So I lost like some very close people. But at the same time, I couldn't process that at the time. I was trying to continue living. I was talking earlier, our parents, they grew up in the 90s. I mean, we grew up in the 90s. Our parents in the 90s, they didn't have their jobs. They were working, they were trying to support us. And I think we got that positivity of trying to live, to continue life from them. And we tried to continue also to live our lives. So at that time, I didn't process anything at all. It came later on. The emotions and everything came later on, built up. But at the time, I remember, it was shocking, but it was just like us trying to be positive and continue because the war ended, and now let's go, let's build something. So that was the thing. So what Carol did for us is just, you cannot describe it into words. It's just very something, an act of, I don't know how to say it, like an act of heroism of someone that doesn't really want to be, celebrated, because she didn't do it for a celebration. She just did it because she saw these kids coming to US. She wanted to help them uh, continue thrive. That's it. And that was how I felt at the time, and that's how I feel right now as well.
Thank you.
You telling us like how you felt that back then, but sitting beside Carol right
Mhm.
now, today, not just former student,
Mhm.
as an actor, as a storyteller, as a singer, what does this moment mean to you right now?
Well, it's very emotional because Carol came also, as we mentioned earlier. She came to my graduation when I graduated, and that's where we reconnected. And also, and then she came to Pristina, to Kosovo, and I took her to my hometown.
And you came to Hartwick to
Yes.
visit us with Fatos.
Yeah.
You might say about his
Yeah,
kind of
we
a
did.
documentary.
Yeah, we did a documentary about Carol for television in Pristina. My friend Fatos Berisha, who's a director, he and I traveled to Carol's Hartwig, and we
Wow.
did this was in 2003, I believe.
Mhm.
Right. And we did a documentary about that. Everything, we wanted to have everything documented,
Yeah, to have
just to have it there, to keep it, just wanted to have it as a piece of history, because we felt like it's very important that someone all of a sudden just decided to remember. College education in the United States is very expensive,
exactly.
millions of dollars, and you get these kids who are coming from Kosovo with nothing,
Wow.
with nothing at all, and we all getting scholarships, full scholarships for 4 years, and that is something that it's I don't know how to describe it with words, but it's a very act of heroism, I would say. And it was uh, it was then that I still have those emotions that I had then, but
But right now, you graduated.
yeah,
You became like really good actor, like all those success. And how you feeling right now?
I'm not sure about good actor, but
I mean,
but
I
listen,
mean for us, you're a good actor and a
listen.
good singer
The
too.
thing is, like, it's as humans, we have to recognize, I think, good, and try to pay it forward somehow. I in my life, because of Carol and other people that have helped us in Kosovo, I in my life has made it as a mission to do that with other people if I can. to try and help as well. So that's something that's what Carol did as education for me. She gave me she told me how to move forward, how to help people. So that's something that I try to strive in my life for. That's what I do. So
And you, Carol, how you feeling right after they graduated? Like right now, they became like successful and
Yes, and that is just so inspiring that it was their, I believe it's the Albanian culture that helped them to be so determined and to carry their courage to go and do this. I mean, as I said, some of the students had very limited abilities to be a college student, but they went for it and they succeeded. So
wow.
that's what's very exciting. And I think at the time when we were hearing all the news about the war in Kosovo, there weren't other wars going on at that time. And I think a lot of Americans' heart went out to Kosovo when we heard about what was going on there, the ethnic cleansing and the massacres. At least I was paying attention to it. And that's what brought my heart to say, can't we provide a scholarship? Can't we provide some scholarships? And so it wasn't only our school. There were 24 other schools that were willing to take that leap and supply scholarships out of their budget. So I think the heart of America reached out in that regard.
Thank you. So we hear a lot of people talking to change the world continuously, everywhere. But there are very few that actually are able to impact individuals' lives in that direct way, in the way you did.
Hmm.
What kept you going through the challenging times of doing this work?
There were challenging times. Initially, I thought it was going to be providing the scholarship money, but that seemed to be kind of happened. It happened. And as I said, the harder part was finding the students to connect them with the colleges, and understanding their challenges with, how they had come to us from a war-torn, losing family and friends. So the challenges of continuing with that, I had made a commitment, and I knew the value of education, and I wasn't going to let it down. And it was fortunate in that. So this happened in probably a 6-month period because, it came in May, and I started in May, and I had to be finished by September. Actually, it went into January, but when I had a few more places to place students, but it was kind of urgent to place the students in that year. Other things happened in the world following that, and I didn't have other scholarships to offer the following year. So it was that year. And so I felt an obligation, and I just felt it needed to be done. Education was so important for these young people.
Carol, you saw those kids before before they start the journey on the students, and after. How important is for those people who survive difficulties on history or on the life, also to have the chance to make them dream this is going to be better.
Well, I think there's something in the book that relates to that. And as I said, as Anita said, there's 2 families that are in this book. And the voice is Ariana, who talks. She's the main, she tells the story. She's the narrator. And she was talking about, I thought I'd read a couple of her sayings. She says, starting life anew, even in peacetime, is courageous. Starting over while carrying the burdens of war is more than just finding new beginnings, as the challenges are many and the worries and concerns only seem to increase. And later she says, fate plays its hand for doors to open or to remain closed. But as individuals, our destiny lies with the courage we put forth to go through those doors that are opening before us. So I think that's kind of how I see these students.
Thank you.
They went through the doors they wanted to.
Beautiful.
Yes, they certainly did. Kushtrim, how did education and storytelling become part of your healing and self-discovery journey?
Uh, I never had. I never thought that I needed to heal for some reason. I never looked at myself as a person who needed healing. I never looked at myself as a victim, and I'm trying to self-evaluate myself. And I try not to look at myself that way, that I needed to heal. But education-wise, I needed to learn, yes, for sure, and to grow, of course, absolutely, and that helped me a lot. Just when I came here, just because remember, I my English was not good to study Shakespeare. I had to go from the beginning, so I needed to gain a lot of trust from people. And to gain that trust, you need to show that you're committed, and to show that you love that what you want to do, to practice and that kind of stuff. That kept me going, kept me going. So for me, learning, I don't think I'm not sure which of the historians or which of the antique writers said, but I'm still learning. I think it was Seneca. I'm always learning. I'm trying to learn. So I'm not sure. I'm still on that journey. I think it's you always learn, especially in our profession that I do in art. You're never perfect. You can't. If you say you're perfect, then it doesn't really. That's not it. You always have to continue, continue, continue. So for me, that was it. That's how I looked at it. And then with this opportunity that I got, that was my first kind of like beginning in US to continue here and continue my education and go on from there.
Do you think your experience on the United States helped you to approach, like, shaped your way how you approach acting?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I try to look at things like step by step. I don't really plan anything, or I don't. So in that sense, it helped me certainly learn a new system. I was studying a different system in Kosovo. I was studying under different circumstances. In the 90s, we were doing a parallel university where we
Exactly.
were doing like different, we were studying in homes and churches and mosques and stuff like that. So it wasn't the same. So when I got here, everything changed because now all of a sudden, like you said earlier, we have a computer, you have a stage with 30 or 40 reflectors, you have sound, you have everything. So it's a different circumstance. But I remember when I first went to California, I, I was an exchange student first when I came
Mhm.
here in 1995. I came as an exchange student and I went to California. I remember telling my friends in Jacova, where I'm from, I said, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to California and you'll see me. It's like, so how ignorant I was. I was like 16 years old. And uh, I ended up in this town somewhere it's called Apple Valley. It's in Southern California, but in the desert. Where you used to, it's one house. I said, "Where is Hollywood?"
Where's Hollywood?
Nowhere to be found. But you're always dreaming. You're always dreaming. For a better opportunity. but you can find there's people that work in small little places that are happy and they're doing their
Yeah,
job,
exactly.
their craft. So it doesn't matter where you are.
Mm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Before we start, because I was thinking to ask Carol, how did you hear about Kosovo? Because I mean, a lot of people from here, they don't know where is Kosovo. What how did you hear about Kosovo, about us?
Well, I think it was all in from the news at the time of the war. Otherwise, I had no knowledge of that area of the world, really. I didn't know about Serbia and Montenegro, and um, uh, just that area was not any place I'd ever traveled. And so it was new to me, but the news about the war was pretty prevalent at that time. And I was a first in my family to graduate college. And my husband and I volunteered to go in the Peace Corps for 2 years. And then I came back. I did some teaching of English to Vietnam refugees. And later I became, after my 3 kids the youngest was in kindergarten, I worked as an international student advisor and helping them adjust to college, international students adjust. And so it was kind of a natural thing for me to, when I hear about young college age students coming as refugees, to reach out and feel that they needed help. They needed, even if it was just 2 students, I wanted to be able to support them.
Thank you.
So, getting back to the book a little bit, you have mentioned we were talking about the book earlier in our conversation when we initially met. You I said it's very the way you describe the culture, the way of living, uh, the pre-war and after-war. I must say it's amazing. I told you before, I'm telling it again. It's amazing because it's very hard for someone to be able to put themselves in a part of the culture without being an Albanian. It's extraordinary because the way you described before war, because this repression didn't start on the 99. It started way before in the 80s, 90s, where all Albanians were out of the jobs. You describe this. You describe how students were going to school in the houses. There was no institutions. There was no the way we supported each other by contributing to each other's economies with the little stores to survive and everything. Like the way you describe it, it is amazing. But I'm sure it was hard to write parts of it because we just cried right now.
Yeah, yeah.
But was there any moment where you had to step and take a break from the manuscript?
You know, well, first of all, I felt part of a family after going to graduations and meeting all of these individuals that had graduated. And I didn't meet all of them, only some of them. And still till today, I haven't connected to meet everyone. I met one new person today that was a former student. But I heard from so many people their stories, and I went to Kosovo four different times, and spent time with people, with the families, with the students that I had not met in the States. There were students that went back to Kosovo for work and for adding back to their country. And honestly, I learned so much, and I've always written in a journal whenever I thought of anything important. And so I had this journal that I wrote in, and on every trip, and their stories were just in my head. And I just thought the story was going to I hadn't planned to write a story, even in writing the journal. It was just to keep track of who I'd met and what I'd done. But after a while, I just knew I had something in my head, and it just kind of was time to, when I had time, actually, life slowed down when we moved at one point in time. And so I could sit at the computer and I started writing, and it was just a story that just kept coming. And it was, of course, I had the facts, but I didn't know the exact emotions of everything, but I put myself in those situations and had to feel those emotions myself to write the dialogues and the circumstances of their events, from being put on a train and being put in a refugee camp and coming to the U.S. as a refugee and going to school. So all of those things were facts that I put my own emotions in. I did have to pause and step aside only when my life got in the way. And that was frustrating, but we moved several times, and that takes time to adjust to. I had breast cancer. That took time away from writing. And grandchildren came, which was a pleasure. I had 7 grandchildren, so I'm able to spend time with them. And so at that time, those times, I was asked to babysit, asked to go visit, as grandparents are. And so writing slowed down at those times. But most frustrating was when I felt like it was really a story that should be told, not just my own story. I couldn't find a publisher. And I tried for over 2 years, sending to different places, and met with one publisher, and that he wasn't the right type of person. So it sat on my computer for a long time. And finally, my husband helped me self-publish it. So I'm
Thank
hoping
you.
that maybe someday
By
it
the
will be
way,
published in.
Rick is here.
Yes, and Rick is here.
We want to thank you in a person.
Yes, he made the effort to figure it all out. It's not that easy, but he's very skilled with computers.
I was thinking to ask you who was the biggest supporter, but definitely it's Rick. So
Yes, it
I'm
was
not going to
definitely
ask
Rick.
you that.
Yes.
All right, Carol, if you could speak to your younger version of those students arriving from Kosovo years ago, what would you tell them today?
I had something about that. Let's see. Um, um, I think I was going to talk about something in here. Hmm. Well, now this is a passage in the book that 3 students had just flown into JFK Airport and were picked up by family, and were crossing over the Brooklyn Bridge. I mean, they just arrived from Kosovo, from war-torn Kosovo, and they were commenting on the bridge that it reminded them of a story by Ismail Kadir, The Three-Arched Bridge. It was written way back in the 14th century, about the 14th century, but which is a very interesting story. But it reminded them that crossing this bridge is what Done, who's one of the students, said. In crossing this bridge into freedom does not actually make life easier or peaceful. Now, as for others in the past, we carry with us across the bridge loss, sorrow, fear, anxiety, hatred, along with the need for revenge. We each will face losses for the rest of our lives, yet we'll also feel the responsibility to do something meaningful with what time God's given us, because we're the ones who survive to cross the bridge, to cross into freedom. Yet I wonder if mankind can better learn about constructing a bridge which, when crossed, could lead to peace.
Beautiful. I just want to speak about Carol's perspective a little bit. I think because to be able to do all that work with in the 90s and then to go on and visit us all and to continue with her life and having her challenges, health challenges, like you talked earlier, and in general, and then after all that, to go on and write a book. I mean, how beautiful this whole story turned out to be. Very positive and uplifting. So that's it. That's what else can you say? My friend, I just spoke to him, and he posted something, and I wanted to. He said, these women. There's like four women, or three women, like Vanessa Redgrave and Carol Detweiler and Cheryl Johnson, a friend of ours too, who have done so much for our for for the youth, for uh, for the students, and for the country, Kosovo.
Yeah.
That silently, with no fanfare or anything like that. So we hope to recognize him as much as we can. So we want to spread the word about the goodness of what they did, and that's our goal.
Yeah, I was thinking that I mentioned to Carol and Rick, I want to thank Carol, Rick, and everyone who did whatever they did, but they for us was so big. And I want to thank all Albanian from Kosovo. So that's what we're trying to do too here. So Kushtrim,
Yes.
I'm gonna, since you are an actor, so if this story became a movie, what would be the most important emotional truth? You're gonna put it on the screen, like.
First, we need to get Meryl Streep to play Carol.
Oh, that one would be great.
I don't think I'm in the
That's
That one would be great.
we need your perspective. That's the scenario.
Oh my God, that one.
We need the story in the story.
All right.
So yeah, so that's how I would look at it. I would never, yeah. I mean, it's just like,
You can dream. Why not?
yes, but I'm just saying, like, as like a movie about Carol's dedication to the cause would be much more interesting, I think, and also to incorporate
Yeah.
the book into that. Yes, of course.
That one would be great.
I said Meryl Streep. She lives around here somewhere.
I think so.
So-
Yeah.
I think we can start pitching that idea. No, it's a story definitely worth to be told in every way,
Mm.
with
Yeah.
all of the great respect. Kushtrim,
Yes.
getting back to you, what would you say to young people who feel their circumstances limit their future?
Honestly, nowadays it's become more difficult for younger generations that are coming from different war zones, or they're not coming anymore because it's the different type of situation we live in now. But because in a sense, I wouldn't say lucky, but in a sense, we lived in a time period when we were the main news in 1999, and it was we were the only news, I think, at the time, and so that helped a little bit in that not helped in a sense that we were saved or anything like that, but just helped to spread the news at the time.
The timing
Now,
was like.
now the times have changed. Times have changed a lot. It's everybody's on their phones, and everybody you can show. But I think the compassion and the, how do I say, has faded away a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, not because of us, but because of the circumstances that we live in now. It's become we are overwhelmed by information and by very various I mean a lot of garbage information. I mean, I don't know how to say it, but a lot of things that are out there, So you don't know anymore what is real,
What to
what is
believe,
not.
yes.
You don't know what to believe. So in that sense, for younger people, it's harder now. I think so. Just when you're trying to. But the one thing I would say is when it comes to like going forward or studying is like do what you love,
Mhm.
continue learning, and you'll succeed in life. Just continue doing what you like and what you love. Study life, study people, be social. So um, that's what I would say.
Mm. Mm.
Home. What does home mean to each of you?
Well, I've moved a number of times, over 10 times in my life. So for home, it's not the place so much as the people and the family and the loved ones, and surrounding you with your friends and loved ones is home, even if they're not right with you.
How about you? You
Yeah,
came,
same.
you left home back there.
I'm not gonna change any word that Carol said.
You miss home?
Of course, yeah, but home, like Carol says, it's not just the place. It's also that you can
So
create home everywhere. Sometimes, I just saw someone talk about home, and for people that come that that leave their houses from somewhere else and move, so that become refugees or become immigrants to another country, it's always the hardest to adapt. You never understand that you probably never going to go back home, because home is not a place, but home is the idea of a
Mhm.
time that you left. So you're
Mhm.
trying to go back on time
In
and not
time.
back home. So home you can create everywhere, but you cannot. Time passes, so you cannot go
exactly.
back in time.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
here is really common to move like around.
Oh yeah, like
We used to stay like I remember my father and my grandfather, they grew up in one house. So for us it was like kind of hard to move.
yeah, but in the philosophical sense, not just home, like moving
Mhm.
from home to home, but home as an idea of like being somewhere, not just geographically, but being somewhere that you want to be with your loved ones and with your friends. And so that sense of home, more than
Yes,
a
exactly.
building
Yeah.
or an apartment. So
Mm.
Thank you.
yeah.
So, your story, if there's one thing that your story proves, if it's that one act of kindness can echo through generations.
Mm.
What do you hope people take away from your journey together?
Well, I do hope that they take away the idea that kindness is easy to give. You can smile as kindness, or someone's having a hard day, or even someone you don't even know, kind of being rude. Just accept it, because everybody has those hard times, and you don't know anything about what is going on with that individual. So that kindness is something you can accept, and you never know. It's serendipitous as to what will follow after you have accepted that.
No.
I have this that I wanted to read. Um, so in hmm, in 1991, the Serbian authorities took away over 6,000 teaching jobs from Albanians. So they were no longer going to be paid for their work. And my character, Enver, says His greatest disappointment was not having no hope for continuing at the university level. He had had to look on as books of history, science, literature, written in Albanian, were burned by the Serbian authorities. Piled up outside his former school, he watched as the fire was set and red flames shot up. He saw how the pages turned silver, wavered, curled, and then floated up into the air, almost instantly turning to ash and disappearing. Seeing this brought him an odd memory, a special treat he had had as a young child, the bright pink colored cotton-like sweet candy all children hunger for its sight. With just the touch of a tongue, the sugar instantly disappears, leaving only the desire for more. Enver saw an analogy between this treat and his books. Reading and learning from books was pure sweetness for him, and though a very bitter taste was left from the burning of the books, his hunger for knowledge would not be destroyed. So I thought, being in this bookstore, we should read about that.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. So, one last question.
No, I have one more. Maybe
Yes.
two more.
Two more. Yes, always. What this journey has taught you about life?
That's yours.
From
You took the journey.
You can- It was also a journey for you.
Yes.
So for both of you. This
No, I mean the journey always continues, I believe.
Mm.
So it never ends. So, just trying to move forward positively and just be around the people that you love and just try to do good work. That's about it. I'm trying to be simple, just not overcomplicate things.
I can see that you're trying to be very simple, but this guy, he broke Albanian borders in terms of acting. You act in a lot of American series that you keep yourself very like you are a great actor, and you had a great journey so far. So can you mention? I just want to go back to few of your actings. Like I know for sure because it was one of my favorite series. You played on the Blacklist.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
mention a couple more.
Yeah, I've been in all the TV shows in New York City, all the procedurals, Law and Orders, and all those good shows that are authentic. I've been on all the shows, but the meaningful work that I mean, that's very meaningful. But remember, considered to be a foreign actor when I'm doing these shows, so I'm always playing these type characters like a terrorist,
Russian.
the bad guy, the thief, the robber, the this, the that. So it was always kind of that situation when it comes to these famous TV shows. But I'm also doing meaningful work that I love in like theater, small theaters that not a lot of people come to see. I do a lot of work in Europe in movies. So I do a lot of, bigger roles when I go back to Kosovo, to Albania, so it's I try to work, as much as I can, but being here, has taught me that you just have to continue, just uh, continue and good things will come, So that's what you start small and then you gotta
What
like
are you
grow.
going to go for in the next day or so?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
next day.
you've been playing on a Blair Tuss movie too. And right now is the movie is on a theater on a France, I think.
No, it's in the film
Oh,
festival.
film
in
festival.
Cannes
All
Film
right.
Festival.
Can you share more about that? Just a little bit. Just
Yes, I'll share briefly. It's Berta Basholi who won the Sundance Film Festival 4 years ago with the movie Hive. She did another movie,
Yeah.
which is about a family in the 90s in Kosovo. It's a perspective. It's a coming of age story of this girl who's 13 uh, during that time of night in the 90s, and I play her father.
Okay.
So the movie is gonna be shown. It's gonna be premiered at the Critics Week in Cannes Film Festival. So it's the premiere is on the 13th.
Oh,
So that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Carol, one more question. How do you see now Kosovo and Albanians from Kosovo after those kind of years? Because you know how they are before, but right now, you've been there even after the war. So
Yes, I was there initially in 2004, and maybe reading out of the journal that I wrote, I kind of have a summary of what I wrote in my journal in that, just a couple of paragraphs about what I was feeling. And as I said, I wasn't writing for the book, I was just writing in my journal. And so my husband and I visited there in 2004. We were invited and hosted by a number of different students and their families. And I said our visit was truly a meaningful experience for us. In the 6 days, we were able to see and do so much, as we were hosted by so many wonderful people. With each day, we found more exceptional beauty underneath the war-torn surface. We traveled throughout the countryside into the mountains and the crystal caves, the small villages and the large cities. We were escorted by armed vehicles through the Serb towns. This is 2004 still, after the United Nations were
still there.
and passed through UN checkpoints in Peja and other cities. There were clear signs that a war was fought here. We were welcomed into people's homes, and those destroyed by the war and those being built anew. Construction and recovery was everywhere. I had heard about hospitality, but now I knew its true meaning. Kosovar Albanians are so warm and welcoming and extend themselves to their guests. We stayed in the Pristina Hotel, and the day we left, the clerk asked us, how was it that we knew so many people? For each time we came and went with someone else. And that whole experience was so meaningful. And I haven't returned. The last time I was there was 2000, and we went in 2005, and so 4, 5, 8, and 9. And I haven't been back, but I can't believe that the culture would change and that there wouldn't be that welcoming. I'm assuming it won't ever change. It certainly is here in this bookstore.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Kushtrim, for being here. So
for
I
the
really
invitation.
appreciate it.
Yes,
I just want to close the conversation. Thank you so much. I just want to remind, I hope we could deliver that this story is not just about war, it's about hope, it's about rebuilding.
yes.
And just a reminder that behind every conflict and every headline in the war zones, there are ordinary people who are trying to hold it together.
Thanks.
And sometimes we're not aware how much act of kindness, how long way can go
Mhm.
and help, not, as we said many times in here, not just individuals, but whole generations. Thank you again, with the utmost respect, for all the work you've done and everything you did for Albanians. Thank you.
Oh, well, it's been my pleasure. And just to say, to reinforce what you've just said, is that the title, A Murder of Crows, came from the fact on my first trip going through, seeing the fields in Kosovo and all these blackbirds, hundreds of them just flying off. I'd never seen that before. And our expression, a murder of crows, of course, comes from the many crows on the battlefields and that you would see. But the red ribbon, so murder of crows represents that terror and desolation. But the red ribbon in my story is there because it represents the hope and optimism that the people had throughout that time.
Thank you.
And one more thing. Hopefully, we're gonna try. Hopefully, this is something that I want to do if I can. I want to try and spread the word in Kosovo. If a publisher would translate the book into Albanian, that would be amazing. So we have a few. I mean, hundreds or copies of Carol's book translated into Albanian, because I think it's very important for people to read this book over there as well. So all right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.